the next thing that we're going to talk about is the title commitment. So if you will recall, I did indicate at the start of this class that there are 3 instructions that the title company must follow. The 3 instructions that the title company must follow are the sales contract, the title commitment, and the lender's instructions. The lender's instructions only comes into play if there is a loan. Sales contract, title commitment, and lender's instructions. None of these instructions trumps the other. They're equally important to the title company. Because again, for instance, if there isn't a sales contract, there'll be no deal. The title commitment tells the title company what needs to be done for us to actually go to closing. And then with the lender's instructions, it tells the title company how they want their money to be disbursed. So they're all equally important, and we all have to, as a title company, we have to go through each of these 3 instructions to make sure that we have all we need. It doesn't, they're all 3 are important, and as I said, not one trumps the other. However, there are sometimes that one instruction may conflict with the other. And then at that point, it is the title company's job to try to figure out, okay, what needs to be done? What can we do here? And what can we not do? And again, it goes back to bringing all the information that you have to the title company as soon as you are aware of that information, okay? All right, so we're gonna go to title commitment. Now, a title commitment is issued to the title company after a title search is done. So you guys as the realtors, you provide us with a ratified contract. At that point, the file gets opened. We check to make sure preliminarily that the seller's information that's on the contract matches what we can see on the public records. We do that. We put in all the information that you have provided to us into our system. And then we send a title order to our abstractor, basically saying, hey, this property is under contract and we need you to search the property. So the abstractor does the search, sends the abstract back to the title company, and then at that point, a title commitment is generated. The title commitment has 3 parts. The title commitment has the Schedule A, Schedule B1, and Schedule B2. Schedule A just basically tells you about the transaction. So it will tell you who the buyer, who the seller is. It'll tell you if there's a loan, how much that loan amount is, tell you how much the property is being sold for, and it will also give you a chain. Most of the times it's a 24-month chain of title, basically just letting you know who's owned the property in the last 24 months. Schedule B1 is the requirements. The requirements basically tells you, hey, all right, well, there's going to be a closing on X dates. However, before that closing occurs, you have to do A, B, and C. So things that you will typically find in Schedule B1 of a title commitment are things like all property taxes have to be paid. If there's a mortgage that the seller has, that has to be paid as well. If there are any judgments against the seller, that has to be paid. If there's a HOA, all dues have to be current. The water has to be paid. If it's in Maryland, for instance, the front foot benefit charges has to be paid, and things like that. It also includes things like there has to be a transfer of the property from the sellers to the buyers in the form of a deed. If there is a loan, it will also state that there has to be a loan from the buyer's lender to our buyer. So those are the things that appear on Schedule B1 of the commitment. So when you see us at the table on closing date, what that means is that every item that has been listed in Schedule B1 of the commitment have either been satisfied or they've been determined not to be applicable, okay? So Schedule B2 of the title commitment basically tells you, that's the buyer, and the title company, things that the title policy will not cover. So it will be things like real estate taxes that are not yet due and payable. So for instance, we have a closing today, March 21st, and we hand over to the buyer the title commitment. The title commitment will say in Schedule B2 that any property taxes due in 2025 will not be covered in this title policy. So if that buyer decides next year not to pay their property taxes, they cannot pull out their title policy and go to their title insurer and say, hey, well, my taxes didn't get paid, and my property is up for tax sale. Here's my title policy. You guys got to bail me out. So it includes things like that your title policy will not cover. And the reason for putting all this information in the title commitment is to make the buyer aware and the title company aware, because we're required by underwriters to provide a copy of this commitment to the buyer at least before the closing date. So they have an opportunity to review the commitment and also understand, hey, these are the things that should have been done for us to be at closing, and these are the things that your title policy is not going to cover.